Now, if you're looking for anybody to blame for the fact that Liverpool had an exceptionally tricky afternoon here, then maybe look no further than the fact that I was on LFC TV earlier this week and said, yeah, there's no gimmies in the Premier League usually, but rock bottom Southampton coming to the champions-elect Liverpool at Anfield. Surely this is going to be a straightforward afternoon for them. Now, of course, it didn't exactly play out like that, did it? But nobody could have imagined really that Liverpool would find it this difficult to beat Southampton. And in my defence, I mean, they are on track at the moment to maybe be the worst Premier League team of all time. They have to get that 11-point mark and they've only got 9 at the moment. So who could have seen them playing as well as he did, or making it as difficult for Liverpool, and Liverpool being as poor as they were? Now, fortunately, Liverpool did get over the line in the end. Obviously, they get a 3-1 win that moves them 16 points clear at the top of the Premier League. And I will say, although there were a few patchy moments, that first half in particular, you can't say it was anything other than a deserved win for Liverpool. I mean, it ends 28-6 on the shot count. The expected goals is 4.11 to Liverpool and 0.31 for Southampton. And in terms of big chances, that's 8 for Liverpool and just 1 for Southampton. So really, on the face of it, an absolute battering. But we all know and we all saw what that first half went like, and it was really, really difficult for Liverpool, wasn't it? We have to talk about how poor they were really in that period of the game. And you know, you could have maybe said that coming off the back of that game against Paris Saint-Germain, and I can bring my voice down a little bit now because thankfully those lawnmowers are going, but you could say, look, they've been away to Paris Saint-Germain in midweek, they've barely touched the ball in that game, and that's absolutely worked the socks off to get the win. So maybe there was a little bit of legginess involved, but I think that's a strange one because the subs he makes at half-time are not necessarily ones that you think would be about the legginess. For example, the fact that he leaves Luis Diaz on the pitch, who for me he did look a little leggy in that first half. He takes Kostas Tsimikas off, who obviously didn't play in midweek as well. So that to me suggests that the manager thought that it's not necessarily about legginess, but attitude and the approach to the game. And I think he maybe saw some symptoms of that really in the way that Liverpool concede that goal. Obviously, you know, Virgil van Dijk in that situation, say a similar situation arises on Tuesday when they play PSG again, I'm pretty sure he's putting his foot through that ball and making sure it gets as far up the pitch as possible. Instead, he tries to shield it back to Allister so that Liverpool can keep possession, and then it's chaos in the box. And Smallbone, to be fair, tucks it away really nicely. But I do think it suggested that Liverpool were a little bit complacent in their approach that they took to that first half in particular. But not just the 3 substitutions that the manager makes, but the fact I'm pretty certain he's given them an absolute rocket at half-time, and we saw the reaction to that immediately. Liverpool snapping into challenges straight from the off, they're getting the crowd up. I mean, Slot had called for a big atmosphere here today, but he didn't get it because the players weren't given enough for the fans to get into, and so it was all really quiet here. And I don't like to blame supporters for that because I don't think, as I say, there was enough given on the pitch. But as soon as the players came out for the second half and they did start to snap into challenges and they upped the physical level, then you got the response from the crowd, and the two worked together as they often do at Anfield, and it totally changed how the game, the complexion of the game really. And of course Liverpool then get the goal, and then 2 minutes later the penalty, and a 2-1 ahead, turn the game on its head inside 10 second half minutes. And I have to say, it's really, really, you know, as poor as that first half was, I think you want to give real credit to the manager for the way that things turned around in the second half. Not just the inevitable telling off that I imagine he gave them at half-time, which they absolutely deserved, but also the substitutions and the changes he made. As I say, you know, making 3 subs at half-time, that shows his unhappiness with that first half performance, and they did absolutely work. They upped the physical level, they added more intensity to the game, and Liverpool just generally performed better in that second half as well. And it's worth noting that, you know, that's the second time in a week now that the manager has managed to do that. You think of how well all his subs played in the Paris Saint-Germain game, and I know Liverpool didn't quite reach the heights of playing exceptionally well in that game, did they? Let's be honest. But those 4 subs were all involved in improving Liverpool to the point at which they could keep a clean sheet and nick the winner as well. So great management there, and then he's proven it again by getting his subs absolutely correct again. And let's be honest, that has been a little bit of a theme of the season really. Slot's in-game management has been absolutely phenomenal this season, and this, you know, you wouldn't have thought that Liverpool would have needed that to be the case in a game against Southampton, who were bottom of the league with 9 points, but it certainly proved to be. And the fact that Liverpool are coming away with the win I think has a lot to do with the manager and the work he's done there in that half-time break. Now I will say as well, you know, of course, a lot not to like about that first half performance, but also worth saying not maybe worth reading too much into this. Obviously Liverpool had a really difficult game in midweek. They've got that PSG second leg coming up and a cup final off the back of that, so it's not really a surprise. I think that the players were playing within themselves a little bit. We do have to give them a little bit of credit and say that, you know, yes, there was complacency there. I think that was evident in the performance, but also that is maybe a natural reaction to kind of the run that they find themselves in, and they would have expected this would be more straightforward. I don't think you would say generally that these players are complacent and that this is something to worry about in the long term. I just think maybe a bit of mental fatigue from midweek, and also just that kind of mental edge was lacking because they thought that this would be the most straightforward game. But of course, as soon as you do that in the Premier League and at this level, there's a possibility of you getting caught out. But as I say, don't think that's going to be a real long-term problem. And we must remember that, you know, despite that poor first half, Liverpool are 16 points clear at the top of the Premier League, and who would have dreamed that at the start of the season? I'm going to go through a couple of individual performances as I usually do, and I have to start with Darwin Nunez. Now, it's funny, isn't it, with Darwin? Keep talking about the fact that he just manages to pull you back in every single time, doesn't he? I mean, I've said it time and time again with Nunez. I do expect him to leave at the end of the summer. I think that is pretty much written now, that he will go at the end of this season. But I keep saying it, his job is between now and then to do as much as he can to help Liverpool win trophies. And I mean, he comes on against Paris Saint-Germain in midweek and sets up a goal, and then he starts this game and has a huge hand in Liverpool turning it around. I mean, look, that's really impressive as well, the fact he's been so good this week, because, you know, he's had to produce a response, hasn't he? He got rightly criticised, I thought, by the manager for his performances against Wolves and then Villa, in terms of not seeing the work rate that you would like to see from him, you know, not doing the basic elements of the game. Yes, you can miss chances against Villa, but we want to see your work rate continue, and you didn't see that in either game. I think that was evident before the manager actually made his public criticism, and I thought, when he did that, is that the right choice? Is his head going to drop? We've seen nothing like that. I think Darwin Nunez's response has been absolutely perfect to that, and saw a great work rate from him today, even in the first half when things weren't going for Liverpool. And then, of course, in the second, he has a huge impact on the game. Great to see that goal. You want to see him getting tap-ins inside the width of the post, and he's there for the run. Great work from Diaz, taps it in. That's a perfect number 9 goal for me, thanks to these lawnmowers have started up again, which is fantastic. Great to see him score that kind of goal. And then, of course, he wins the penalty as well that turns the game around. And I think sometimes this Anfield crowd has been maybe a little bit too fair to Darwin in terms of chanting his name when he's not necessarily deserved it, but he got a huge ovation when he went off today, and he did absolutely deserve it, not just for today, but his contribution in midweek as well. And I think it starts up the debate really about, does he come into that starting 11 against Paris Saint-Germain as well in midweek? I mean, he made Liverpool look much better when he came into that game away from home. He gave Marquinhos and Pacho something to think about physically, which Jota absolutely didn't. And if PSG are going to go similarly man for man in midweek, maybe he's your out ball, maybe he's the way to get out, and he'll be full of confidence after scoring here, getting an assist in midweek and winning a penalty in this one as well. So I would not be shocked at all actually to see Darwin Nunez in the starting 11, and I would say he would deserve it on the basis of this performance. So great to see him playing well. Another substitute I want to talk about as well is Allister. I thought he, you notice how good he is when he's not on the pitch really, and I thought that was a really smart half-time sub. I mean, he comes on 93% passing accuracy, he helps Liverpool progress the ball, getting them into dangerous areas constantly, but he's also combative. He gets in there and he wins his duels. I mean, 3 out of 4 ground duels won, and he's so intelligent with his positioning, but also his use of the ball. So just a bit of a Swiss Army knife really, brilliant on both sides of the ball. And again, Liverpool missed him in the first half, and they were a much better team when he came on in the second, and I don't think that is any coincidence. He is possibly their most important midfielder at the moment, and I think he has been for a little while, to be honest. Just love watching him play football really, and again, I don't think there's any question on whether he will be in the starting 11 against Paris Saint-Germain in midweek, let's be honest, because he is vital. And I think, Slot will maybe have a little bit of a regret that he's had to use him for 45 minutes here, because he would have liked to give him a rest and make sure he's fresh for PSG, but I'm sure 45 minutes in his legs isn't going to absolutely kill him, and I'm sure, well, look, he got half a match off at least, so there's something in that, and I'm sure we'll see the best version of him against PSG, because Liverpool will absolutely need him. And another player I want to talk about also is a substitute I thought Harvey Elliott was excellent when he came on. You know, so lively, picking up pockets, just stretching Southampton, making it difficult, because I just thought Liverpool really struggled to create clear-cut chances in that first half. They had a couple of moments where they got in, but not enough. And when you bring in a player like Harvey Elliott, who's so good, as I say, is getting a bit of space in the pockets, but using the ball sensibly and finding those little cute passes you need to get you in. I just thought he transformed Liverpool in terms of their attacking play, and I thought he was excellent when he came on. I mean, he gets 4 shots away, which again shows you he was a threat all the way through, goes close with a couple as well, and just gets those little interchanges of passes going, speeds Liverpool's play up, and I thought that was really, really important. And it's worth mentioning as well, I think it said something as well that the manager turns to him. I mean, I've said beforehand that I'm a little bit worried about his position in the squad and what his role will be going into next season. He's only got a couple of years of his contract left, and I think it would be an absolute travesty if Liverpool let him go. He is too good a player, who is still only 21, by the way, to allow him to leave. And I know there have been rumours around that, and you would understand it on the basis he just doesn't get enough minutes, and yet he gets his big moment in Paris Saint-Germain in midweek, and then he comes in today, and the fact that he is one of the subs at half-time, maybe that Slot trust in him is growing a little bit, and we're seeing evidence of that. I certainly hope so. I want to see more of him between now and the end of the season, and I want to see more of him next season as well, when I hope he's still at Liverpool, because you cannot let a player go who is that talented and that able to come in and impact games. So surely he is forcing his way a little bit further into the manager's plans, and I do want to see, as I say, a little bit more of him. You know, if Slot does want that smaller squad for next season, then Harvey Elliott for me absolutely has to be part of it and absolutely has to get more minutes. So I hope that is the case. Now, just to wrap it up, a quick honourable mention to Mo Salah. I mean, we get a little bit kind of immune to his brilliance. So obviously it's only two penalties today, but he dispatches them expertly, doesn't he, in crucial moments in the game. He also takes 5 shots, 6 chances created, and he doesn't get the assist, which I'm keeping an eye on that assist record. Really want him to get there if he possibly can, but if he's creating 6 chances, and if he does that in every game between now and the end of the season, then surely he's going to get to 21 assists and break that Premier League assist record. Really would love to see him do that. A little bit unfortunate that he doesn't get one today, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. As usual, I want to say actually, before I do wrap it up, like I said a little bit earlier, really is don't think too much about this performance, that first half performance, or think that this is indicative of what we're going to see against PSG or Newcastle. I really think that this game has fallen in a strange spot for Liverpool. They maybe, as I say, the mentality going into it maybe not quite right, but very, very understandable from a sports psychology kind of sense of things, really, that they maybe took their eye off the ball a little bit, but they corrected their error in the second half. They've got big games on the horizon where there'll be no doubt that we'll see the best version of them. And look, they are 16 points clear at the top of the Premier League. It's an absolutely ridiculous scenario that, as I say, at the start of the season, someone would have laughed at you, really, if you'd said Liverpool would be in this position in early March. So, you've got to say it's a remarkable effort from this squad, which is going to win the Premier League as well. And even when they don't play that well in 45 minutes, they'll give you the best version of themselves for another 45, and that is enough to win football matches. And I'm sure we won't see many repeats of that performance over the remainder of the season anyway. So I am going to leave it there. Do let me know in the comments what you thought of the performance. Who was your man of the match today, and what would you do about that PSG lineup as well? Does Darwin Nunez get into it? That's an interesting debate. Do you use Jones on that left wing? I'm really interested to see what you think about that. And as usual, I'm going to ask if you can like and subscribe. It's massively appreciated. I saw a fella walked past me today at Anfield and said he thought my YouTube videos were boss, which was really, really nice. So hello to you, and I really, really appreciate that, and all the kind comments that you leave as well. So thank you very much. But I'll wrap it up there, and I'll see you guys very soon.